is lean is simple. Ben, you can hear me fine and see everything
We can
fine?
hear you fine. We've got it there.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Okay. So a couple things you need to know about lean before I get going. First of all, it's simple. But the next thing is it's very, very hard. So I'm a big kite surfer, and kite surfing is something that's difficult to manage. But if you do it, it's an amazing experience. So lean is hard, but it's only for 2% of the people in the world. There are very few people in the world that are willing to fly through the air and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And that's basically what happens with lean as well. It's only for 2% of the people in the world because it's so difficult to do. Why is it so difficult to do? Because lean requires you to stop. And this is counterintuitive for most people in the world. And there are just a very few group of people that are willing to say, okay, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to really think deeply. How could I improve this? But see, the key is you have to do this every day, nonstop with everything you're doing. So here's a good example. So this company is called FP McCann. They have 2,000 employees. They're one of the largest preform precast concrete manufacturers in the UK. And they have a beautiful process here for checking the slump of concrete. Look at this. They've got a nice pan. They've got a nice gauge. Everything looks great, right? And they start doing 2-second lean and everything's perfect. They measure it. The slump's perfect. Yeah, it's all good. It's all perfect. But then now that they know 2-second lean, they're thinking to themselves, how can we make it better? Oh, we need to stop and think about how we can improve this because no one in the world does this, only FP McCann, because they stopped and they said, man, let's just create a target. Let's create a visual workplace. Let's not have to reach over and grab the tape measure, pull it out, look at those small little numbers, interpret it, possibly make a mistake because you got the wrong number for the wrong slump. But no, now they've poka-okayed the whole thing. They've made it simple. They've made it intuitive. They've made it fun because they were willing to stop. So the question is, are you willing to stop? That is the big question. So lean is simple, lean is hard. Lean, it's only for 2% of the people in the world because most people are not willing to stop. And we're talking about stopping every day. So you're listening to me right now and you might be thinking, okay, well, this guy's going to teach me something that I didn't know. Well, the truth of the matter is I can't teach you anything. All I can do is show you what we're doing and what thousands of other companies around the world are doing. And what they're doing is they're empowering their people to stop. And I got this concept in Japan. And I got it from a man named Mr. Yoshino. He was tasked with training the NUMI workers in 1984 when Toyota and GM did a joint venture to work together. He had to train all the GM workers in Japan on the Toyota production system. And he thought, oh, that's an impossible thing to do. You can't do that. And why would the Americans listen to the Japanese? They defeated us in the war. They're a bigger company, bigger economy. You know, they have the big automakers, the big three. Why in the world would they ever listen to me? So he brought 28 of those, about 28, 30 of those people over from the United States to Japan. These were all the top union leaders to train them. And he said, the key is I'm not going to ever use the word teach. I'm just going to use the word show. We're going to show you what we're doing. And if you like it, you tell us. So I sat down with Mr. Yoshino one time in his office and he explained that whole story to me that I'm just simply going to show. I'm not going to use the word teach. And that was powerful. So what happened was GM wanted to do this joint venture with Toyota. And I'll play this video real quick. And what happened was Toyota took the worst factory in GM. They closed the plant. They had actual drug rings in the place. They had prostitution rings. They were towing most of the cars off the line because they were sabotaged. And what happened was when the Americans came to Japan, they saw the Japanese stop the line because one bolt fell on the ground. And this one bolt completely changed their mind. They said, well, that makes sense. Why not just fix it now? Get that point. Fix it now. One bolt changed all the GM workers' mind. They saw the Japanese with the smallest details stop a line where thousands of workers were working. And they improved the process, just like you saw with FP McCann. So at the end of the day, lean is simple, but lean is stop. Are you willing to stop? Because the GM workers saw the Japanese stop and it transformed their mind. So what happened was Toyota started training team after team of these GM workers, and that plant that was closed by GM, that was the absolute worst plant, in 2 years in 1986 became the best plant in all of GM, producing high quality Japanese cars. And this is what the American public wanted, because they were tired of the crappy American quality, because it had just denigrated down over time. So lean is stop, and it's your decision on what you do with the information I give you, because I'm not here to push anything on anybody. I'm just a lowly servant trying to give you what happened to me and what I started doing with my company. You can reject what I say, or you can say, oh God, this is really cool, this is new stuff. Or you can keep doing the same thing you're doing, like 98% of the people in the world are doing, because I travel all over the world. I've been to 130 countries. I've visited thousands of factories all over the world. And I'm astonished at the level of complacency that people have. They just keep doing the same thing instead of saying, hey, you know what, this is not working. I'm tired of pulling my hair out. I'm going to do something different. So lean is not a superhero program. It's not where you hire these big fancy consultants that come in and tell you what to do. Absolutely not. It is not that. And it's not bureaucracy. It's not graphs and charts up the yin yang and get all your specialists in there analyzing all the granular little things. It's none of that. And it's not the flavor of the month. You didn't hear Paul Akers speak. You didn't go to a lean conference. You didn't say, oh my gosh, there's this great new thing we're going to try. And then a month later, you're distracted and you're off to the next thing. It's not the flavor of the month, but this is what it is. It's a total participation program. It's a system where everyone in your company, from the very first hire to the most recent hire, is participating in stopping and fixing what bugs them, stopping and improving processes. This is what it is. It is fixing everything now. So I'm going to take you back to Japan, introduce you to a couple great key figures. Probably most of you know who these people are, Shigeo Shingo and Ono. So Ono was vice president of engineering for Toyota, and he was tasked with developing the Toyota production system. It took him over 30 years to do it. He didn't even tell people that it was a Toyota production system. They referred to it as Ono's system. And then finally, it was revealed in the 80s to the world what Ono was doing. Even the people within Toyota didn't even know what Ono was doing. So he was carefully and methodically stopping and fixing problems and developing a system. And he had problems from time to time. He employed Shigeo Shingo, one of the top industrial engineers in the world, and Shigeo came in and helped him with many things. Just in time was the big thing, and the single minute exchange of die. These were very important elements that Shigeo Shingo contributed. And I was with Shigeo Shingo's son, Richio Shingo, who was the former vice president of China, and I was on a bus with him about 10 years ago, and I asked him a question. I said, Richio, if I meet you on a park bench and you're there feeding the ducks with your grandchildren, and I introduce myself and you say, hey, I'm Richio Shingo, and I say, Richio, what did you do? What's your life's work? He goes, oh, well, I'm the president of Toyota China. And wow, interesting. Toyota, I've heard a lot about Toyota. Toyota's supposed to be a really good company. What is this thing that Toyota is doing? And Richio said, oh, you know nothing and I know everything, and you want me to tell you what the Toyota production system is. And I said, yes, Richard, that's what I want. I want you to tell me, what is the Toyota production system? How would you summarize what that is? And he said, okay, let me tell you. You know nothing, I know. The Toyota production system is the accumulation of small ideas from everyone. And I go, you're kidding me, Richard. You just said that. And I had written the book at that point, 2 Second Lean, which is fixing things, making small improvements all the time. And here the president and son of Shigeo Shingo said, it's the accumulation of small ideas from everyone. And the same thing with Ken Snyder, Dr. Ken Snyder. He worked with Shigeo Shingo. He worked with Richio's son. And when I asked Ken the same question, he said, oh, Shigeo had this great saying that is wasted 10 years. He basically spent so much time measuring statistically what was going on. And in reality, he should have been just fixing problems. And I started the whole talk off by saying lean is simple and lean is stop. Shigeo Shingo wasted 10 years because he wasn't fixing problems. He was measuring and analyzing. And this is the trap that most people get caught in, and Ken perfectly articulated what Shigeo's lost 10 years were. So this is how it works in my house. So this is my gardens in my home, and I have beautiful yards. I have 15 acres of meticulously landscaped yards, and everything is flawless. And you would look at this and you'd think I have a team of 30 people keeping up with this, but I don't. For the longest time, it was just me. Now imagine I was the president of the company, and I came home and I worked on this yard, and it seems impossible. Now I have two gardeners that take care of it. It's not 30. I have two gardeners that take care of this yard. But why am I able to do that? Well, I'm going to show you right now. When you see how we have everything set up on our Kubota and on our system. So we never struggle to do anything. All the tools are properly placed. Like I've been to the best golf courses in the world, in Ireland, in the UK, and there's not a golf course in the world that has a setup like this. This is the highest level because I stopped and started fixing what bugs me. So every tool is perfectly laid out in Kaizen foam. Everything is GPS coordinated. If I drop something on the ground and I look at it, I grab that, pick it up, and oh, guess what? It's GPS. It goes to the green Kubota. Everything is labeled, from the safety glasses to the trash can to the blowers to the rakes. And oh, something's not labeled all of a sudden. So I look at this, I go, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to stop because that's what it is. But that's going to be a pain in the butt. No, because I've got the tape here. I've created processes that allow me to maintain this high standard. So by doing this, I have flow in everything I do in life. So when I'm working in my yard, I'm not looking for tools. I'm pruning everything perfectly and going on to the next step. But most people are spending most of their time walking around looking for things and struggling to work. I don't struggle to work. I actually have felicity when I work. Everything is so easy for me and so simple. I actually get more work done because I have more energy because I'm not struggling to do anything. So in order to do that, you have to stop. And Ono's precept number 8 was valueless motion are equal to shortening one's life or wasting one's life. So I'm not wasting my life because I'm in flow all the time because I've stopped and improved processes. So what is 2-second lean? 2-second lean is simply, I took the world-class principle like from Toyota, Harley Davidson, and Porsche. These were all people doing the Toyota production system. And I said, hey, how do we get more out of this? How do I simplify this? So I said 3 powerful steps. First of all, you have to learn the 8 wastes because these wastes are happening everywhere around every one of us. Overproduction, it all starts with that. We make too much of something. I use a fast food thing as an example here. And then I stop and I fix it. I say, I'm not going to do that. I make these small improvements to everything I'm doing. And the net result is I have more time to enjoy my life because I'm not wasting my time with all these small problems that are happening everywhere. That's essentially what 2-second lean is. And the one last thing I did is I said, pull out your phone and make a quick video and share these improvements with everyone. And by doing that, you spread Yokatan, you spread this information throughout your organization. And that's what I have people doing all over the world. They set up a simple WhatsApp or Signal chat on their company, and everyone's sharing videos all day long. I'm looking at improvements from my company and I comment on every improvement. We have literally made millions of improvements in my company, and I comment. I don't give a thumbs up. I comment on every improvement my people make. Why? Because improvement is the most important thing. I'm willing to stop everything I'm doing to support that activity, and so is everyone else. And the result is my company operates literally at a 5 times higher level than the best companies in the world. Every metric, every measurement in my company is so astounding, it's almost hard to get your head around it. It's so incredible. The productivity is 5 times higher than the average company because my people have been taught to see the waste: overproduction, transportation, excess inventory, defects, overprocessing, wasted motion, waiting time, and wasted potential. I'm not wasting the potential of my people. They've become world-class problem solvers or process engineers. Because we recognize that waste is swirling around us. It's everywhere. Even after 24 years of doing this, there is waste everywhere in my company, and we recognize it. The question is, do you see it? Can you see the waste in your life? Can you see how you answer emails? Can you see how you gather information? Can you see all the problems that are existing that are not being solved? Well, if you start to see these 8 deadly wastes, it will become very, very clear to you. You know, as I travel around the world and speak everywhere, people are giving me gifts all the time, and they give me books, they give me presents. I've even got guitar and chocolate, and I'm just like, don't give me any gifts. What am I going to do with all these gifts? I just pile them all in my closet. But most people, I'm going to lean conferences and they're giving me all this stuff. But I'm thinking to myself, are they thinking about all this? Sure, it's nice to get gifts. But in the end of the day, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Fill my closet? We've all got those closets full of junk that we don't want. And then we have to re-gift them to somebody else. I've even got fancy robes. Look at this robe. I'm in Uzbekistan, and they gave me this. I mean, it must have cost them $1,000 for this robe, and they gave it to me. I'm like, what am I going to do with that robe? When am I going to wear it? The only thing they haven't given me so far is a crown. They gave me another jacket. I haven't got a crown yet. I don't know if I'm even going to accept that, but just nonstop, because people are not thinking to themselves downstream, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Why? The greatest gift you'll ever give me is do 2-second lean. The greatest gift you'll ever give me is stop and fix what bugs you. This is the key. So I'm on the bus in Japan, and I'm doing Japan study missions, and I've got all these leaders here, and I'm asking them, why do you do lean? And they all start taking the microphone and talking. And then this one guy named Rob, he's a company with 2,000 employees. He makes synthetic diamonds. And I asked Rob, why do you do lean? And Rob gives me the greatest answer: because it allows me to live 100 lifetimes. I get so much more done. Who wouldn't want that? Doesn't everybody want an extra couple hours in the day? How about getting 100 lifetimes? He has 2,000 employees. He says things run so smooth because we are stopping and eliminating the waste in everything we're doing, reducing time and effort. This is the essence of what we're trying to accomplish: improve people's lives. But yet most people don't get it. I walked into this hotel in Atlanta, and this is the first hotel in the world. Remember, I've been in 130 countries. I have never been in a hotel in my life where I walked in and they had a visual control on the desk telling me where to plug my computer in. And the first thing we all do when we walk into every hotel, billions of people around the world every day walk into hotels. And the first thing you do is, where do you plug in your computer? Where do you plug in your phone? And we spend 3, 4 seconds, 5 minutes, whatever it is, 30 seconds looking for that plug, pulling out the nightstand, trying to, deal with that. It's just crazy. But this one hotel got it. They said, oh, put a visual control exactly where to plug it in. And I'm like, finally, somebody gets it. Now you know why I say it's for 2% of the people in the world. Most people will never understand this level of thinking and refinement. So what's my goal? I want you to see waste like you've never seen it before. I want it to electrify you. I want you to think to yourself, oh my gosh, I do see what he's talking about now. There is waste everywhere. Exactly. So, great example, non-manufacturing. I'm getting on my Delta flight. They hand me this ticket. I think, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I'm dyslexic. I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at here. I don't even know where to look. I mean, where am I supposed to be? What gate? What time? I mean, this is like a nightmare for someone who's dyslexic. I got ADHD, ADAD. I've got every disease in the know. And I look at this and I go, forget it. Impossible. So I pull out my phone and I stop. I take a picture of it on my leg, send it to my graphic designer. I say, Graham, 23 years old, non-trained in graphic design, brought him off the shop floor, great lean thinker. Can you make me a lean airline ticket? Now remember, we're a $40 million company. We're not a $4 billion company like Delta. Okay, we're a small little company with one little graphic designer, 23 years old, with no training. Grad, can you make me a lean airline ticket? And in 15 minutes, he shot this back to me. What is going on? How come Delta can't do this? Because they're not lean thinkers. They're not willing to stop. They haven't trained their people in the 8 ways, and we have. That is the only difference. Think how this is laid out sequentially in the order that you need the information, visual cues and controls all the way through. Everything is super clear. So Toyota comes to my factory, and all the top leaders from Toyota in the United States come to my plant. I show them this. They go, "Oh my gosh, that's incredible, Paul. But I see points of improvement." And I say, "Really, where?" And they go, "Well, add an arrow to the direction of flight to remove all ambiguity." I said, "That's brilliant. Add the arrival time. So if somebody's picking you up, they know exactly what time, you know what time to tell them, and add the date." I said, "Brilliant." We instantly changed it, showed it to Toyota, and they said, "Oh my gosh, that's incredible, Paul. Right on. We love it." So there it is. All the improvements made because we stopped and fixed it now. This is the key. So I go to Canada, I'm speaking. They go, "Hey, Paul, you know what? Your plane's the wrong direction. Look at the way I have it. I have it this direction. Now, when you're walking on the plane, you got to invert it in your head." No, 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 no. It should be the orientation. So you're not having to invert anything in your head. I instantly fixed it. We fixed that problem. We made the improvement. I go to Germany. I actually go to Hungary. I'm speaking to Mercedes-Benz. All the top leaders in Mercedes-Benz. We're in this conference room. And they say, "Paul, but we enter from the back of the plane." I say, "No problem." I send up WhatsApp to Graham. Graham updates it, sends it back. Within 15 minutes, I had the new slide up on the screen, and they looked at me and they said, "That would have taken us months, 3 months to do something like that." Unbelievable. Instantly made the improvement. I'm in Australia. They say, "Oh, well, you know what? I never know where I am in the terminal. The terminal, every terminal is different. It's very confusing. You kind of wonder, why not give a visual orientation on where you're going to walk and where your gate is?" I said, "Oh, brilliant." Boom. We're in the 21st century. That can easily be generated, no problem. So there you go. I made that improvement. Flip it over. It's on the back side. I'm in Indiana. I'm speaking. Same thing. They look at it, they go, "You know that QR code? Have you ever seen people try to scan their QR code, scan their phone? They don't know whether not to put it up or down. It's very confusing. Put the QR code on both sides. Remove all ambiguity and Pokioke, the same process. Stick it in there, boom, click. You're not wasting seconds of individuals' times around the world trying to figure out how to scan QR codes. I made the improvement instantly. So now let's go to Kazakhstan. So Kazakhstan, I'm speaking in front of 2,000 people. These two engineers walk up, stand up, and they say, "Hey, Paul, I see a place." I go, "No problem. I can stop in front of 2,000 people. That's easy. No problem at all." So there you go. Add a +3 to the time zone because I'm never quite sure. Is it a 2-hour difference? Is it a 3-hour difference? I said, "Oh, that's so simple and that's so easy. It's such great visualization." Oh, +3 if I'm going to JFK. Instantly made the change, sent a message in front of 2,000 people, my graphic designer, boom, updated it, done. Because I'm willing to stop. So why can we do this? Because we can see waste. That's it. We see the waste in everything we're doing. You saw it in us trying to figure out how to use the keynote on Teams. It's terrible. We tried to stop and fix it. Ben, I'm going to task you because I'm not a Teams person. I always use Zoom. You've got to figure out how, at the end of this presentation, how could I have done that? That's your job, is to figure out how to do that. So if you ever have a speaker like me who's crazy that wants to show audio and video, that we can do that. So the 8 deadly wastes: overproduction. They gave me way too much information. They transported me through the airport. They stacked me up in inventory. I had a defect because I missed my plane. Then I had a heart attack. They had to call an ambulance because, I had a heart attack, more waste, more defects, over processing. I have to go to the travel desk now, rebook my ticket, more over processing, $100,000 reader board they have to put up to figure out where I have to go to the terminal. If they just make everything work and function and go smooth, wouldn't even need these reader boards. It would be so simple. And then they have information desks, more motion, more standing in line, more waiting because I missed my flight. And then we wasted our employee genius. It's all going on all day long in airlines around the world, and nobody has figured it out, except for finally, I got sent a ticket from Air Jordan, or Jordan Air. Royal Jordan Air has copied my airline ticket almost perfectly. Not perfectly, but they're so much better. Finally, one country in the world has figured this out. And it's not rocket science. This is like super simple stuff. It's a freaking airline ticket. Like, who couldn't figure this out? There's Jordan's Air, or Royal Jordanian Air. You see how they copied it? They put it in the order that you need the information. Much, much better than any other airline I've ever seen. So kudos to them for finally taking the step and jumping up. But the rest of the airlines, I have no idea what they're thinking. I do know what they're thinking. They don't know how to see waste. And the way we improve these things is based on 4 criteria. So safety is always first. So we look at our improvement, we look at the old ticket, the new ticket, and we say to ourselves, is it safer? Well, really, safety is not a factor here. I mean, you could say safety is a factor because I'm not going to have a heart attack anymore if we want to be a little funny, but that's really not the issue. The next issue is quality, and this is a hierarchy. Safety is always number one at the top of the pyramid, if you will. Then quality. Did I improve the quality? Oh, emphatically, the quality is way better for the customer. It's simpler to get the information. We have standardized fonts. It's sequential. It's visual, everything. The quality is way better. And then is it simpler? Simplicity is very important. We don't want to add complexity when we make improvements. We should simplify things. We should poke. We should make it so you can't make a mistake. Way simpler. And the last thing is speed. Everyone thinks that lean is about going faster. It is not. The real filter that we're looking for is quality. We want to improve quality, and in doing so, hopefully we make it simpler, and then the result or the shadow is if quality is improved, speed is the shadow, almost inevitably, because with quality you make less defects, the process is clearer, easier, less ambiguity, less defects are produced. So that inevitably produces speed, which is the shadow. So those are the 4 criteria that we're looking for. Now, this is where we have a problem. I'd love to share this video with you, but unfortunately I can't because I don't have the audio. But when I got off the stage, I was speaking in Texas one time to a big construction consortium. And I got off the stage and this guy came up to me and said, Paul, that was a great talk, but it can be improved. And I said, really? So what could I do differently? And he said, have you ever watched Saturday Night Live and Oscar Rogers? And I said, no, I haven't watched Oscar Rogers, but I've seen Saturday Night Live occasionally. Lean is stop. Everyone needs to fix it now. And then repeat over and over again. Stop and fix it now. But this is counterintuitive. Most people are just willing to keep going on and on and on and suffering through their work and not being in flow and not enjoying their work and not enjoying one of the most beautiful experiences in the world, and that is felicity. This means to have an intense happiness in the way you work and to feel buoyed by the way you work because things are so smooth. So there you go. There's my introduction to 2-second lean and my belief on what lean is. After 24 years of doing this, I still do the same thing every day. I'm stopping and fixing what bugs me. We have accumulated, as I said, millions and millions and millions of improvements. Worldwide, tens of thousands of companies are doing this, from the biggest oil and gas companies. ExxonMobil is learning 2-second lean now. Halliburton is learning 2-second lean. The biggest construction companies in the world are doing 2-second lean. Why? Because everyone can understand it. It's simple. Stop and fix it and improve it now. Okay, questions?
Very good. Well, thank you, Paul, and we will fix what bugs you there with the audio. But I do appreciate the voiceover you gave us. I actually kind of preferred it in some ways. So thank you for the spirited version. Ben? And also, too, we want to know: are you doing retreat bookings to your garden? Because that looked fantastic. So I think any of us would like to maybe come visit you there. So, but let's open up the floor, and any questions from the group here, whether in the chat or feel free to chime in if we can keep some order there. But
I can't hear you.
Hopefully others can hear me, but
oh, there we go. Ben, I can hear you now. Sorry.
Very good. Apologies if you missed that. So let's get the questions going, guys. Feel free to jump in here, whether on chat or over audio. We'll keep some order, but would love to hear from you and get some feedback. That was awesome, Paul. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See some questions going here. Hold on just a moment.
You know, I realized the defect that I did. I turned down my volume, Ben, so that I couldn't hear the videos, and then I couldn't hear you. So I'm sorry.
No, all good. So we have one question in the chat to get us started here from Creelan. And would you summarize that lean is reducing waste while Six Sigma is reducing variation. So more of a technical question there, Paul, but how would you respond to Lean is about waste and Six Sigma variation?
Well, Six Sigma is emphatically about reducing variation, but Lean is about reducing variation. The reason we stop and fix what bugs us is because there's a variation going on in our process. It's uneven. So it's the same thing. We're both reducing variation. The difference is, that was a very good question. Never had that question. The difference is Six Sigma puts the hands in the statistician's hands, in the engineers, in the technical people's hands. 2 Second Lean puts variation in the hands of the Gemba people, the people doing the work. And this is a huge, massive, and important difference.
Yeah, let's follow that up with another one from Ashvir, which is, in an improvement process, which should come first, Lean or Six Sigma?
Well, I don't do Six Sigma. And I know Six Sigma, but I don't do it. So you have to decide. And again, I'm only telling you what I'm doing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to do one thing or the other. I'm just showing you what I do. You have to choose what is best for you.
A question then from Ann here is, she'd like to ask a human question, or to Lean. What emotional attributes do you need for the best Lean adoption?
Oh, great.
For emotional attributes.
Humility, curiosity, a love of people, a love to want to help people. You feel this sense of, hey, you have this deep compassion for other people and you want to improve other people's lives. I don't know if I answered the question, but that's what I would tell you.
And then one more too from another channel. What happens if not everyone in the company is the 2% that you said can do Lean?
Okay, so let me explain the 2% concept. The 2% represents the leaders. 2% of the leaders who are willing to make this fundamental change. Not everyone in the company is going to be a 2% maniac like me, but everyone in the company must embrace the philosophy. I have people that do Lean in my company that are as crazy as I am, but there's not a lot of them. But everybody is improving. Everybody's enjoying it. I'm an anomaly. I mean, there's only 2% of the people in the world that think the way I think. It's like gasoline on the fire for me. When I do a Lean improvement, I just go crazy. So everyone must be doing it. Everybody doesn't manifest itself in exactly the same way that it manifests it in me, but everybody is improving all the time. I don't know if I answered the question, awesome. But that's what.
Yeah, that's maybe a follow up, but Martin, I see your hand up and video as well, so feel free to jump in there if you'd like.
Hi, thank you very much for this hosting this event. Hi, Paul. I am very interested in your take on the importance of leadership as a general slogan in the company. You touched it on a little bit with your 2%, that it's almost detrimental that the leadership take the role here. What bit of advice do you have for the listeners on the take of trying to balance between leadership and Lean?
Okay, so that's a great question. And the last chapter of my book is Lean is really leadership excellence. Forget about everything else. It's about what it means to really be a leader. So the answer to your question is, there are 3 things that are essential for a Lean transformation. The top leader must be fully engaged in the transformation. Number 2, the top leader must be fully engaged in the transformation. Number 3, the top leader must be fully engaged in the transformation. You cannot delegate this. It is all about leadership. It's all about your willingness as a leader to recognize that there is beautiful potential in all of your people. And your goal in life is to uncover that potential and develop them. The purpose of my company is to grow people. That's the only thing I care about. I don't care about making money. I don't care about anything. I don't care about woodworking tools. I don't care about woodworking products. That's what we make. I care about growing my people. As I develop my people, we make better woodworking products than anyone else. We make more profit than anyone else. We're more efficient than anyone else. We do everything better than everyone else because we focus on one thing. Me as a leader, I'm here to develop and grow my people so they become better human beings to society and our country. It's all leadership. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you. You underlined the importance of being the top guy, wanting this and almost charging the way through. Listen, company, listen, organization. This is what we want to reach. What do I do if I'm the guy caught in the middle or at the baseline? And that's going to be very difficult trying to convince the organization to become lean.
Okay, well, that's a great question. So the first thing you do is you shut your mouth and you focus on your sphere of influence. So as a middle manager, you have influence over 5 people, 10 people, 50 people, whatever it is. And you shut your mouth. You don't go tell anybody, just like Ono did. You shut your mouth and you start doing it. And the results will speak to themselves. You never need to say anything. And then you keep your mouth shut again. And I'll tell you, this has happened over and over again in the biggest and the smallest companies around the world. I have my favorite story. I'll tell you, you will always rise to the top of the company. A lean thinker, a true lean thinker, will always rise to the top. The best example I give is a man named Thomas. He works in a company that makes nuclear reactors for submarines and for aircraft carriers. Very technical. He's an engineer. He was a very small, low-level engineer. He took off on 2-second lean. He started doing it. I told him, shut up, Thomas. Don't say a word. Just your sphere of influence. He kept doing it. He kept doing it. He kept doing it. He kept getting better. He got promotion after promotion. He kept his mouth shut. Everywhere Thomas went, the organization, the culture grew and developed. He's number 4th in the company now. Number 4 in a company that makes sophisticated nuclear reactors. It always works that way. Shut up and make it happen with your sphere of influence.
Just to build on that briefly, Paul, I heard a nice story from my father. I was with him a couple of days ago, and he said, within your own sphere of influence, do you have standard work? So do you have an expected normal condition? Mm-hmm. Do you have a scoreboard that tells you, are you doing well or not doing well? Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. your team members also. And then do you have basic problem solving of, if we're not doing well, what are we doing to stop and fix? And how do we solve the problem from coming back? So those 3 things, a standard, a scoreboard, and problem solving, you can do that in your sphere of influence.
Exactly.
Very good. One follow-up question then, Paul, and thank you, Martin, for that great commentary. But the question, Paul, how does 3S, or some might know it as 5S or 6S even, how does that fit into 2-second lean?
It is actually the core. It is the keystone of the whole system. It is the fundamental foundational point that must be started and always maintained. So the first thing we do to my company every day, 7 o'clock, everyone arrives on time. No one's late. As a team for 30 minutes, we 3S our facility. If you haven't seen the videos of my company, go online, just type in Lean Tour Fast Cap. Combined, there's 2 tours. There's many, many videos, but 2 main tours. They have over 750,000 views. Our facility is immaculate. And we spend a half hour every day 3Sing. Why? Why would you spend a half hour with 50 people, thousands of dollars, 3Sing a facility that you could eat off the floor? The bathrooms are better than the Ritz-Carlton. Why? Because the purpose of 3Sing is to find problems. We sweep, sort, and standardize. What are we really doing? We're cleaning the facility and in the process looking for any abnormality, any potential problem, any machine that's leaking in oil, anything that's declining or denigrating. And we say to ourselves, why? Why is that happening? How can we create standard work so that doesn't happen anymore? 3Sing is the keystone, the cornerstone of all lean activity.
Awesome. We got a question from Anton in the chat. And Yuan, I think I saw your hand come up, but the question from Anton here is, thanks for the great examples of lean practices that can be observed. Interested to know what's under the hood in terms of the basic principles of lean that apply across different kinds of work beyond manufacturing, perhaps.
I don't know if I understand the question. What do you think, Ben? You tell me.
Yeah, maybe it's the essence. So some people might look at lean as esoteric or a catchphrase or whatever. So I guess it's really what are the underlying principles that you've seen in Japan or otherwise, some of the origin that make it so applicable, universal.
Very good question. I got where you go. Lean is a human development system. I've kind of touched on that already. Our purpose is to grow people. If you go to Japan, and Ben, you've been to Japan, you know what I'm talking about. I've trained over 1,000 leaders from all over the world, top leaders from all over the world, from billion-dollar organizations to small little single-person operations in Japan. I bring them there to show them one thing: respect for people and resources. What is lean? It's respect for people and resources. It is a human development people. You respect people because you're spending the time training them and developing them and saying you have value, not pointing your finger, go do this, go make that widget, just shut up, put your head down and do it over and over again. No, we develop our people. We respect our people and we respect our resources. The two things in my book, Ban is Sloppiness, a deep respect. What Japan is doing is a deep respect for people and resources. Those are the underlying principles.
Yeah. And what's always so interesting, Paul, you can appreciate when you're scheduling site tours and you go on these best practice walks, a lot of companies like to show their process and show some of the nice gadgets and the machinery and the flashing lights, but that's really not the essence. That's not what the takeaways are from the group afterwards. It's around how you showing respect for your people, how are you driving continuous improvement, having a system of problem solving, being aware of the scarcity of your resources. So that really is core. So thank you for reiterating that. Another question from Niari here is, when starting a lean project, would you start with an audit or whatever assessment term you want to use to determine the issues, or do you just leave it with the staff to identify pain points?
No, when you start with training. You start with a morning meeting. You start with a daily group activity of 3Sing for 10 minutes every day, not a half hour like we do. 10 minutes, everybody, okay, let's clean the place. Let's see what we find. And then you have 10 minutes of a meeting and you come together. What do we find? You have a discussion. You stop, you slow down, you don't run into work, and you start discussing as a team. Those are the fundamental principles. And then you continue and grow from there. Very simple. 10 minutes of 3Sing, 10 minutes morning meeting, start fixing what bugs you.
Very good. And maybe a follow-up to that is, when we're deploying lean into an organization to keep the momentum, how do we formalize reporting on all of the improvements?
Well, you can do it many ways. I can only tell you the way I do it. We don't formalize anything. We don't write down any improvements. We have no log. We have no spreadsheet. We have no Excel spreadsheet. We don't care. We don't care about any of it. All we care about is you stopping, fixing what bugs you, and then if it's appropriate, and most of the time it is, and when it's not, you don't, make a quick video before and after, horizontal, hold your phone, boom. This is the problem. This is the solution. Share it with the team under 60 seconds. People are inspired, say, oh, wow, I never thought about that. I could do that in my department. That's how you formalize it. That's simple. And you say, well, how do you know if it's working? Well, I don't want to, I got to be careful when I brag about my company, but it's just, I mean, the numbers are, they make every other company look like they don't know what they're doing. It's so bad. It's like outrageous. Awesome. 5 times more productive. Profitability makes Fortune 500 companies look like they don't know how to make money.
And thank you, Martin. You put the link to Paul's YouTube channel there, so that's awesome, and it really is inspiring too. So if you ever need a breath of fresh air beyond today, please do check that out. Any other questions here? Feel free, guys. We love having the video and chiming in over audio as well. So jump in, or any other questions here in the Q&A or chat.
Good questions, though. Really good questions.
Yeah, very good question. And Paul, maybe a question from me personally. So the discussion I was having yesterday evening around lean in the future. So some people look at it and say, oh, it was a tool from the late 1990s and all those MIT guys went over and did their thing and all the consultants now have done their thing. And what is lean in the future? What's the next generation, and who's going to come along and call it something different, but take the same principles and go forth? So what do you view with the future of lean, and how would you translate that to us as facilitators and practitioners?
Well, what I would say is, instead of looking in the future, let's look to the past. How in my humble opinion, did God organize the world. And if you maybe understand the origins of how God organized the world and how man was supposed to conduct himself and how we get the best out of culture and society, then you'll know what it's going to look like in the future. And it appears to me that if you just look at the human body, that the human body is constantly repairing itself. The human body is in flow, the circulation system. We have a brain that has the capacity to compute and solve problems. I mean, the whole essence of creation, how it works, is centered around continuous improvement and fixing and solving problems and regeneration. I don't see it any different in the future than the way it was originally set up in the past. I think lean is really the way the whole universe works in my simple and humble opinion.
That's awesome. Couldn't agree more. And I think once people maybe experience that for themselves and whatever translation of that feeling of the principles, it does transcend just doing your day-to-day work. So you look at it as the way you live a life, the way that you go into your relationships, the way that you go into your community and do good work there. So hopefully we can see the overlap of all of that and keep pursuing continuous improvement. But any other thoughts here, guys? I think we're getting closer to the end, but any other questions for Paul? If not, all good. Thank you, Paul. This truly was awesome. And it's amazing sometimes what 50 minutes or just under an hour can do to invigorate your energy and kind of remind you why you do it. So thank you again for sharing. And sorry about the technical difficulties, but hopefully it didn't take away from any of it. I don't think it did. So, but great as always.
I learned a new skill, how to voice over my videos. On the fly, too.
We got actually one more laid hand coming up from Steve. And Steve, feel free to chime in there if you'd like.
Sorry, that was a false alarm.
A false alarm.
Very good. It was applause, not a hand. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.